good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, out of order of those three that I use. Anyway, wherever you are in the world, it's good to be with you. And Phoebe, as always, it's good to be with you. And I hope all is well in your world, even though there is a cloud of some confusion over where you are. I hope it's not threatening you. And then yes, let's see. You well? Are you?
Yeah, we are all well, and good morning and good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening to us from. So it is a bright day, and it was raining unusually slightly in Dubai yesterday, so it is cool weather. So I hope cool weather prevails.
Course. And the rain, as we know, when I lived in Dubai, whenever there was a rain shower, it was on Facebook. Everybody was talking about it. We've had rain. Whoa. Okay. So there we go. I should remind everybody, even though the title is in our podcast, that we are talking about leadership, and the framework, if you like, for what we're talking about is the Leadership Challenge. The Leadership Challenge has been around a long time, and it's now in the seventh edition. And as we speak, the eighth edition is being written by Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner. 8 editions. Can you believe that? No other book on leadership has got anywhere near that, and certainly not the rigorous research that is involved. So I'm a certified master. I've been a certified master, I think, for about 14 or 15 years, something like that. And I have presented the Leadership Challenge in about 17 countries. And I'm kind of passionate about it, but I'm passionate also about the subject, which is leadership. And I'm pleased that Phoebe is with me, as he always is, to help me be challenged about leadership, and for me to challenge him as well as we discuss our favorite topic. Good morning. I said that, leadership, Phoebe. And what are we going to talk about today?
I think one of the discourse which we see these days in the social media is about a specific person tweeting on various issues, and I thought, in some of that tweet, the message is conveyed in a way in which it, it instead of building a relationship, it is impacting the relationship. So I think the point which I just want to highlight is, as leadership practitioners, and especially from the leadership challenge perspective, when we see the tone of messages which lacks respect, that how it lands on the receiver and how it creates other ripple effects around us. So uh, that is the point which I like to bring it to you, Graham, and I want you to further add your thoughts on that domain.
So you want to talk about leadership? Sorry, you want to talk about respect, do
Yeah,
you? Well, what would
exactly.
you do about respect? Gosh, I don't know. Why don't you bring up something that you know about and you can talk about? This is ridiculous. So, pardon me, everybody. I hope everybody knows I'm joking. Respect. There was a song years ago, and I won't spell it out, but the letters are spelled out in that song. Respect is at the core of relationships. We may not articulate that if we have a good relationship with someone. I'm sure we're not going to necessarily say, and we respect each other. Well, there is respect in the relationship, but it is an unseen, unheard, not even discussed element to the relationship. And I believe that respect is critical in all relationships that are going to be going to go anywhere. Now, if it's not a relationship that's not going to go anywhere, then you don't have to show respect. But having said that, if I disagree with someone, and I don't mean that I'm going to write a post on X or anything else like that if I disagree with them, but I'm able to respect them even though I might disagree with them. Right? And I think that's really important. We talk about respect when we're also talking about values. We've talked about values before, understanding what our individual values are and what the values perhaps of others and the values of the organization. And one of the values that we often talk about is respect. It might be honesty, it might be success, it might be family, it might be, there's others, of course. But respect is one that often comes up. And as I've said before, I think in the Middle East and certainly in the areas where Islam is the strongest religious faith, I don't need to explain to a Muslim what respect is. Respect is fundamental to them. They respect and show great respect to the people that they meet and they interact with. It's so much a part of what it is. And so I would say more so in the Arab cultures or the Islamic faith, that people are going to nominate respect as being important for them, rather than people who are of Caucasian descent, such as my case, and brought up in Australia, certainly brought up with a faith. But respect is not something which is regarded as strongly as a part of what someone is like in terms of their behaviours as the Middle East. In my view, I could well be wrong. So respect, how do we show respect? How do we
I think
do our behaviours? What behaviours would we use to demonstrate respect that we have for someone else?
I think one aspect which is coming to my mind is, it is about consistency. And quite often we call it, what does walking the talk look like? And I think it is when our team feels okay, feels the integrity of the person who is speaking. We can sense what he is intending. Uh, uh, and people can easily, I think in conversations, in discourse, we can see through people when they are not authentic in the way in which they are coming up. And we sense, okay, there is something wrong. And that is where I feel, uh, how can people be respectfully yours and help in especially conversations so that it lasts and lead to better relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking of how I demonstrate respect and where it where it is for me. When do I do that? And I would say that the top of my list in showing respect is to women. I will always show respect to women. And I hope that in our discussions, even when I first meet them or when they get to know me more than that, I hope that they would believe that I'm showing them respect. So how am I showing them respect in this case? Well, for a start, I'm going to listen to what they're saying. I'm going to accept their points of view, even though they may differ from mine. I'm not going to say, no, that's a lot of rubbish. That's not true. Don't talk about that. I will have an understanding that what they are showing or talking about rather is related to their belief systems and what they believe that they've read about or learned or whatever. And I'm still going to maintain respect for them. And I'm thinking particularly about a telephone conversation I had in the last 2 weeks with a woman I've known for quite some time. Yeah, a couple of years. And she was expressing some views which I did not agree with.
Mm.
And I will show her respect. And we will have another conversation, maybe not for some months, but even though I disagree fundamentally with what she is saying, I will respect her and allow her to have those opinions and those views, even though I fundamentally believe she's wrong. I'm not going to say that to her. Never would I do that. I'm going to be respectful to other people in business. I'm going to be
Mm.
respectful to not only those I'm doing business with, not only people who might be as part of my team, as a leader, to be showing them respect, but I'm actually going to say that I believe I show respect to anybody who comes into what I call my sphere of influence. That is
Mm.
how we're contacting and connecting, and whether that's in a real space or whether it's internet or emails or whatever form of connecting, I would hope that I'm showing them respect, even though I may not have ever spoken to them before. This could be the bus driver, not that I'm on buses these days. That's just don't know why that came into my mind. It's going to be someone in a shop as a shop assistant. I'm always going to show respect to people who I just happen to meet, and I may never see them again. And to me, this is about how I walk through life. I just automatically default to listening to other people when they've got a point of view, empathizing with them if it's appropriate, sharing my view if it's, or again, if it's appropriate and helps them, but always showing what we call, and it's all very well to say showing respect when we say we do that, but what do we do? This is part of our conversation now. What do we do that indicates respect? And I think fundamentally, one of the first is listening to that person and recognizing that their views they are entitled to have, and respecting, again, using that word, but not demeaning those that what they say, not putting them down, not saying no, you're wrong, none of that. I want people to believe that they can share ideas with me. Whether I agree with them or not is up to me as to how I express my reservations, if I do have any. And I want people, as I've said before many times, when people leave the interaction that they're having with me, I want them to feel better about themselves than when we first began the interaction. And I think part of that is the respect that I show for them. And that is listening to them, smiling, being empathetic, recognizing that if they have difficulties, that this is an issue, and this is empathy, of course. And I just believe that if we do this to people in the broader sense, rather than having tweets that are damaging, that are negative, why do this? Is this some sort of aggression that people need to let go of? I don't understand why. But if we show respect, what if we are leading a team of 8 or 10 people? How can we show respect for them? And when I'm saying this, of course, I believe that you don't just turn on the respect when you're with those people. I believe that any respect that you have, if it's a value that you have, we often talked about values, I believe respect is a very strong value for me. And I don't have to turn it on. I don't have to, I need to be respectful to this person. I'm respectful, I hope, all the time. And I think that
Yeah.
that is something that I hope is with all of us, to be respectful to other people who are walking this planet with us. We are sharing this wonderful planet that's just been seen from the furthest part of this Earth by the spacecraft that went up and circled the moon, went around the other side of the moon. We are all on this small, tiny planet together. So let's show respect to everybody. All right?
I
But
think, yeah.
I don't know why I'm talking to you.
No, I think you touched on, how we can set authentically, being examples of values which we say we practice, and that is again connecting it with modeling the way, which is one of the first practices of the leadership challenge. And you also touched on, how respect can lead to build credibility in this process, in this value exchange. And that is where I see sometimes, our conversations really reflect the values which we hold, and whether it is through the words we speak, whether it is through the tweets we make, whether it is through emails, and it triggers feelings on the other end. And if we are not within our authentic self, and that actually reflects in the way in which we are coming across. And one more aspect which I felt is it can also link to inspiration, where second practice of leadership challenge, inspiring a shared vision, whether my conversation or the language is inspiring the other person to take or reciprocate in the same way. Now, if that doesn't happen, that is where the friction emerges, that friction of distance emerging, and um, there is lack of alignment happening between those people involved in the conversation.
Yeah, you've used authentic a couple of times, more than that in the last couple of minutes. And really, it just reinforces the importance of authenticity from the leader to others. And of course, authenticity and respect go together, right? If I'm not showing respect, I'm not being seen as authentic, am I? If I'm not showing respect, people will likely not want to have any time for me. They may not want to have any discussions with me because there's no respect. And where there is respect, we can go really quite deep in terms of what we are able to get out of people. And I'm sure you also touched on the vision and inspire a shared vision. If we craft a vision that we're all going to work on together, right? This is where we all believe this is where we're going. So when we craft a vision and set that out together, because together we're going to achieve these amazing things. So if I'm showing authenticity and respect, people will listen to the discussion we will be having about that vision, and they will want to be more part of that vision if they know that we and me showing respect are part of it. People want to work in an environment, I'm sure, where they are respected. And if I show respect to the people I'm leading, and they return that by showing respect to me, then we are going to achieve the vision a lot more effectively because of this. But if there's no respect for me, do they want to get up and come and work in the morning and work hard? No, it's drudgery. It's a drain. They don't want to be doing this. But if they know that we've created together a workplace, an environment that everybody loves to be there, and everybody is wanting to do the best that they can, and I believe, as I keep saying, that respect is fundamental to creating this workplace environment where people love to be, they are engaged, they want to be doing the very best they can. They want to be going further than what they thought they could do because they know that with the respect that exists from the senior level all the way down, that's why they want to be there. And when I think through some of the leaders who I've been involved with over the years, I believe that the ones who inspired, as you indicated, who inspired people most were the ones where respect was absolutely fundamental for them, that they showed respect to everybody, and everybody then, of course, showed respect to them. But if managers, here's this nasty word that I keep using every little while, don't show respect, people want to leave. They don't want to be working with someone who doesn't show them basic respect. No, get me out of here. He doesn't respect me. He's not authentic. I don't want to be here. Get me out.
Yeah, and that led me to ask a question. This came in a conversation with a senior leader, and it again, I think this is framed like this. The question was, can respect exist without honesty, and even when that honesty feels uncomfortable? What are your thoughts on that, Graham?
Wow. Wow. Look, isn't the respect going to be likely fake if I'm not displaying honesty? To me, honesty it is so important for me. If there's any relationship that I have that doesn't show complete honesty, I am out of there. Yeah, I'm so strong on the need to be honest,
Mm.
and it's not hard to be honest all the time. But if I'm faking my respect because I'm dishonest, I'm going to get caught out. Right?
No,
He's telling
no,
Potiphar, fine. That's not correct. And yet he's
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry, something a thought came to my mind. Recently. I was recently watching some of the press conferences which happens in the US, which is live streamed in various news channels. And when we see some of the press members asking questions, we can see that honest answer is not coming, and that is actually visible in the face of the the commentators who are answering, and we can see their discomfort in their face at that moment. So yeah, so the point which you mentioned is very very relevant, and uh, you know uh, the shift of tone and the emotion which is reflected from the face really show that it is not a honest answer which is coming up.
Yeah, look, well, you touch on politicians now. We are living in an era of straits or not straits of homos, not of homos, of homos, um, and whether it will be open or not. Of course, this is a very dynamic situation, and we don't know. But the politicians now, where I am in Australia, have been in the last few days asked fairly direct questions about certain things related to the oil supply. And I can understand why they don't know the answer, or the answer is something that is still under discussion. And so the answer that they give the reporter who's asking them, it doesn't seem to be straightforward, as we might say. And I can understand that because it's such a dynamic situation that we are in that if they say, yes, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and then tomorrow something happens that absolutely prevents them, oh, but you said you were going to do this. They kind of got to catch up with what they're saying to people. But politicians, certainly when elections are involved, yeah, they come up with a whole lot of things that they can change later on. So I don't have a whole lot of faith in what a politician says because they're looking after themselves quite often and trying to protect what they have said when things change. But I do think that as far as possible, leaders, when it comes to honesty, and to keep that respect going, if there's a difficult question that comes from one of the team, they should be able, I must be able to say, when they get this difficult question, and that question is a really tough one to give you an answer to. Given the facts that I know, if I was to give you an answer now, there's a pretty good chance that it should be regarded as speculation. That is, circumstances may well change tomorrow. I understand it's really difficult for you not having that answer. I understand that really, I do. And as soon as I am able to give you an answer, you can be sure I will give you the answer to that question.
I
So I
think
hope I'm demonstrating respect for the person. I'm not dodging the question, and I'm certainly not being, I hope, seen to be dishonest.
yeah. Yeah, I was trying to convey that, like when you mentioned that. So respect doesn't mean agreement. It is basically how we convey what our intentions are with honesty in the process. And I have a question here, uh, how can especially people in positions of authority, um, and I want to link challenging the process here, how can organizational leaders can have a respectful challenge which can lead to transformation. And again, uh, without undermining trust.
Yeah, I'm just going to elevate that for the purpose of this discussion one level. And let's just assume, for the purpose of what you've just said, is that this discussion is happening at board level. And we
Yeah.
often know certain board members who have their own agenda and they're not always honest as they should be. But in the boardroom, I would hope that there is robust discussion about any decision or proposal that's put forward in terms, specifically, as you've said, about challenging the process. And yet they can have a discussion which maintains respect for each other in that boardroom. And that respect then should be cascaded down to the next level and the next level. This is modeling the way, right? Modeling the way that they are cascading this respect down, even though they may have a difference of opinion, even though there might be a challenge with the challenge in the process. but they should be able to always have a discussion that's respectful. They can have different points of view, but they can still be respectful. And the leader reporting to his team, he should be authentic. He should be open, and or she open and honest about what's going on, even if they have to say, look, there's some of these things I don't agree with, quite frankly, and I hope that it doesn't happen. But I understand the process we're working through requires a little more time to sort things out. But you need to rest assured that as soon as I know the answer, you will be the next people to know what that answer is. Okay? I
Mm,
say
mm.
that they're going to feel respect for me, and that respect will be continued that we all have, that I have started and engendered, I hope, with everybody. So how are we doing? I think we've shown a bit of respect, haven't we?
Of course, of course. Yeah, and this thought brought an incident in which in one of the conversation in former organization where we had a challenge and we had experienced people respectfully disagreeing with what is being said by the senior leader in the room, and he actually helped to have that conversation. And what we have experienced at the end is there are plenty of new ideas emerging, which actually helped us to move into a better place than before, which was
Yeah,
actually which a thought came to my mind when respect doesn't mean agreement, but when the respect is the tone in the room, it actually helped to challenge the ideas, and
yes,
it
absolutely.
and it also built the trust which was needed to make the team come together for innovative ideas actually.
Absolutely. And where there is not respect, what comes into the room through the dissonance that occurs is personal disagreement with the other people. And this is not productive because people take a defensive position because of something that they believed in. But if they accept that someone else has got a really good idea and they respect what they're saying, then we can have what we hopefully believe is a healthy discussion. And on that note, it is time for us to bid each other a respectful day until we are back with you all again in the next week or so. Phoebe, thank you so much for your time, and I hope that the days improve for you as the days move on in this challenging time in the Middle East. Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you, Graham. And just for the final closure, so to all of you, respect and gratitude often go together. So, our gratitude for your participation in the process, and join us in our next conversation.
And we will always show respect to you. Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you.